D-Rush Vapes, the world's first pre-workout vape.
Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle rant. Today's topic is how to deal with social media, how to deal with the mental aspect of the sport. I originally wanted to have IFBB Pro Iain Valliere on the show after his New York Pro victory, and I wanted to talk about this because I know he's been a victim of an onslaught of people saying he shouldn't have won the show and he didn't look good, and other people should have beaten him. And I know it really affects him personally because I've seen him arguing with these people online. And I want to just say a couple things about social media. I mean, it's a whole new, brave new world today than it was when I competed back in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s, because social media was not an issue. You had to deal with the people responding to the magazines, but there was no way for them to directly give their input. However, people still talk behind your back at the gym and stuff like that. But what I noticed, about when I was coming up was that I had to learn to put blinders on my eyes and just say, hey, you know what? Walk through life, worry about yourself. Okay, and I know it's easier said than done. When I would go to the shopping mall and I would walk through there, and I'd always wear a tank top and shorts. I was always sweating and hot, and I was big and whatever. People would whisper stuff, and I'm sure saying steroids, and all the obnoxious, jealous things that people say. But I didn't even hear it. I was like oblivious to it because I just blocked it out. I didn't care about what people said. I was interviewing Logan Franklin a little earlier today, and we were talking about that because he puts it out there. Hey, look, I know that what I got is good enough to beat anyone in this sport, and he's very confident about it. And he's not cocky in the sense that he doesn't badmouth the other people. He just basically puts it out there and says, hey, look, I can stand with anyone, and I'm not going to back down, and this is my belief. And he just won the New York Pro in Classic Physique, and he's got a really very healthy attitude about what he's bringing to the stage. Jay Cutler had a very strong mindset too. He just didn't care if people said his waist is too wide, or this is not good enough, or he'll never beat Ronnie Coleman. He didn't let the good opinion of others affect his outcome. What he did, how he lived, how he focused on what he wanted to manifest or bring to reality in his life. And I think it's important as bodybuilders that we understand there is a mental aspect to this game, and it's a very strong mental aspect. Some people some people know that they're good enough to win, and some people don't think that they deserve to win, even though they have the tool set genetically to do it. Flex Wheeler was very open about saying that he felt like he could never beat Ronnie Coleman. He felt he was always going to be second to him. Right then and there was no way he could ever beat him with that mindset. Jay Cutler went on record and always said that I could beat Ronnie. I'm going to beat Ronnie. And he really believed it, and he made it happen. So Flex Wheeler might have been the most genetically blessed, best bodybuilder of all time had he had the mindset of Jay Cutler or Dorian Yates or Ronnie Coleman for that matter. People who believed that there was no way they could lose because no one can outwork them, both physically in the gym and both mentally when it comes to the mind game. Arnold also, very strong mind game. He went so far as to play mind tricks on the other competitors to psych them out. Now, guys don't do that today on a regular basis because it is a little disrespectful. Now you'd get called out for that on social media. Back then there was a magazine article you did, or you saw guys at the gym. It was a different reality. Nowadays, if you're too cocky or you're too obviously condescending to people, you'll get called out on social media. But a lot of guys do, and they don't even care about that. So the answer to, or the question is, how do you deal with social media when it really starts affecting you? You don't allow it to bother you. You do your thing. Whenever you compete for anything, whether it be bodybuilding, I used to look at the magazines and look at the different competitors who I felt were my competition at the national level, and I would try to dissect them and figure out, all right, how can I beat them here? How can I beat them there? And every time a new guy came on the block, it was like stressful because I was worried about, oh my God, am I gonna be able to beat this guy? And then at some point I said to myself, stop worrying about who's out there. Worry about yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. Say, what do I need to improve? and work on that and bring the best Dave Palumbo to the stage that you could possibly bring. Bring the best Iain Valliere to the stage you can possibly bring. Bring the best Logan Franklin to the stage you can possibly bring. And then let the judges decide. Because you know what? At the end of the day, Iain Valliere left the New York Pro as the champion. And he should feel like a champion. He doesn't need the fans to validate his victory. The judges did, and that's all that matters, is what the judges think. He's going to the Olympia. He's the New York Pro champ. It doesn't matter. In 6 months, no one will even remember the show anymore. They'll just know Iain won the New York Pro. And so don't take everything so seriously. It always seems way more serious right when it happens, but the truth of the matter is that no one's going to remember who placed second at the New York Pro in another year, okay? They're not going to remember Justin Rodriguez was right there. I know there was a video released about, did Max Charles get screwed? Well, you can say the fans can say whatever they want. It doesn't matter. The judges voted. And you know what? I think the judges are doing a very good job. I think, as a matter of fact, that they did a very good job in picking Iain Valliere. I think he was the winner. Was he better than Tampa? Absolutely. Absolutely. Does he still have tan issues? Yeah, his tan still wasn't good. Is he not showing confidence on stage? Yes. He was not smiling at prejudging. He's got to work on that. But was he the best body up there? I say he was. I think Hassan Mustafa has a tremendous physique with almost zero flaws. He wasn't hard enough. I think Justin Rodriguez has probably had the best conditioning on stage. But I think his legs were a little shallow not compared to his own body. He flowed well compared to Iain. I think Iain had much better legs than he did. Oh, but Iain had no calves. Well, who cares? All right, it's one body part that was not a weakness. Okay, it was just not up to snuff with how big his legs are. But that's hardly a reason for him not winning the show. All the other competitors had their own weaknesses. Was Max Charles maybe his best? He was close to it. I think Milas did a great job with him. Was he deserved of the victory? I don't think so. I don't think his legs could hold a matchstick to, or a candle, I guess is the right expression, to Iain Valliere's. I think Iain had all the body parts right where he needed to be. I think his posing was better. He was more relaxed. He was fuller. He wasn't flat. His enthusiasm could have been a little better on stage, but he had the best physique, and I think Tyler Mannion, who was head judge, did a fantastic job. And you know what? I can completely defend his decision. Whether Chris Aceto agrees with me or Milos agrees with me or not, it doesn't matter. I think that the right decision was made. And the truth of the matter was that no one was perfect at that show. Probably Justin Rodriguez was about as close to as perfect as possible, but sometimes you can be your best and it's not good enough to beat the guy who might be a little bit off. Iain Valliere is a top 6 Olympian if he puts it together mentally, because he's got the physique to do it. He's got to take all the little things that we have control over, presentation, coloring on stage, okay, confidence on stage. These are things he needs to work on. He's very immature in that sense, but that doesn't mean that his physique was not deserving of the victory. And you know what? For him to allow these schmucks on social media to negatively influence him, for him to argue with people online to try to justify his win is stupid. He doesn't have to. Phil Heath made that same mistake after the Olympia. And he should have just said, you know what, screw these people. Who cares? They don't matter to my life. They're not important. It's what's in here that's important. What's in here that's important. Because that's where you create. That's where you make things happen. You can do that. No one else can do it. If you can justify yourself verbally, okay, for winning a show or losing a show, that doesn't mean that you deserve it, okay? Your physique does the talking, and the only way to improve that is to work on it internally, okay? You can't affect anyone else out there except yourself. And that's the bottom line and take-home line. But you can allow these other people to affect you. And if you do, you're foolish, because you're allowing the public opinion's voice to destroy or deconstruct all the great stuff that you're doing to yourself. Iain should be out there saying, you know what, this is what I did, this is what I'm going to improve, and talk about the tough battle he's fought with confidence versus dealing with social media, because that's the real issue here. We're in a brave new world, like I mentioned earlier. You got to learn to deal with social media and handle them properly. Some people are more mature, some people are less mature. growing up, I was very immature when I was younger. It took me a long time to be mature and to actually understand who I was and to be confident in that. And everyone matures at different levels. I think Jay Cutler was born mature. I've never seen the guy ever get ruffled. But everyone's different. So just because Iain Valliere acts one way and Logan Franklin acts another way and Jay Cutler acts another way doesn't make it one better than the other. But as bodybuilders, we have to understand we're standing up in front of a bunch of people and the entire world on social media and being judged. If you can't handle that, get out of the sport. That's a fact of life. You're going to be judged by everyone, but the only one that matters are the judges. And if you can convince them you're the best, you did your job. Iain, you did your job. You're the New York Pro Champ. Stop worrying about what everyone else is thinking. I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle Rant.